They usually happen Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. and then Wednesdays and Thursdays at 2:30 p.m. So make sure you keep coming back next week. We'll have a whole new list of coaches coming through to share their expertise and what they're going through and all that kind of stuff. But without further ado on this one, we have Brian Graves, assistant coach at North Carolina Central.
First off, I want to say, hello to everyone. Hope everybody's good and their families and loved ones are safe during these unforeseen times. Thankful to, join you, Jamie, and share some of my knowledge with you and these other coaches. The first thing I wanted to talk about was just a little bit of my journey, so that, each and every coach, when you get off of here, you'll have a little bit more knowledge of me. And I hope that, we can continue to network, and I'm an open book, so you can text and call me for information. But my journey started, back in 2010, 11. As Jamie told you, I played overseas after my college career at Catawba. I wanted to start it where I played at, which was Heritage High School. So I started at Heritage as a JV head coach in 2010. Was fortunate to win a district championship with some very talented guys. A lot of my guys now, Jermaine Melrose was my MVP on that JV team, just finished up his career at Hampton University. His brother Malik Melrose was on that team. I had a kid that just got Player of the Year at Salem University, Jordan Forbes, was on that team. I had a kid, Dimitri Holloway, that played football at JMU. And I was fortunate enough in that spring to get a call back from my college, Catawba College. Coach Jim Baker gave me a call, and, he said he had an opening on his staff and he wanted to bring me back. And I was thankful for that because Coach Baker, he's a father figure to me, to say none of the less. I learned a lot from that man as a player. And I was nothing other than thankful for him calling me, and I had no choice but to take the job. Although while taking the job, it caused me some sacrifice because I gave up my playing career to be close to my son. And, I had to once again make a sacrifice to move to North Carolina and, leave my son in Virginia Beach and kind of make that commute and make the family life still work within that 3 years at Catawba. And I hope, all of you coaches can, take something from that. Like it's a lot of sacrificing in coaching basketball, period. High school coaches, middle school coaches, AAU coaches, college coaches. I don't care, what level you're on, you're going to sacrifice something. So that was a huge sacrifice for me. I gained a wealth of knowledge while at Catawba. It was a different time, than when I played. When I played, we were a championship team, and I won 3 championships at Catawba. But when I went back, it was a rebuilding phase. So I was able to work for Coach Jim Baker for 2 years. Like I said, he was a 20-year vet, and he basically told me from day one, I'm getting older, B. I need you to bring me players, and I need you to keep my players in the gym. And I had really no blueprint, no experience. That was my first college job. And, my thing was to just build as many relationships and meet as many people as I possibly could. I did that. And, he gave me full reign to run the elite camp. And, I was able to recruit, 50, 75 kids a summer to elite camp. And then, in I think it was 2012, 13, they let Coach Baker go at Catawba. And it was a scary time for me because I came to Catawba to, kind of see him out and with hope that he would retire from there. But administration went in a different direction, and I was able to be held over by Coach Perrin. And Coach Perrin is a friend of mine to this day. And I got to work with him for 1 year. And, I think in that holdover process, I learned to be, resilient for one, because I didn't know what my future held at that time. I knew it was a new coach coming in, and I had played at the school, and, I knew everything about the school. So, I would be a good candidate as an assistant for anybody, but at the same time, he didn't have to keep me. And so I kept working. The athletic director asked me to hold the program together for that spring. And I kept working the guys out. I told them, obviously all of them would get releases if they wanted to leave, but at the same time, it was appealing to Coach Perrin that I was able to keep everybody but two guys. So I worked with Coach Perrin for a year. We were pretty good, got the program, to about 500. And then I was fortunate enough to get a head coaching job at Bryan and Stratton College. Bryan and Stratton, was back in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Got me an opportunity to coach back in my area where I was from. And I was, again, nothing but blessed to take that opportunity. Um, with Bryan and Stratton, it taught me to do more with less, and I think a lot of coaches in this can relate to that because, at the high schools, at the junior college ranks, you just don't have the same resources that we do on a Division I level. So you learn to do more with less. At Bryan and Stratton, I had long days, days I would get up at 7 in the morning to help a kid get to class. And, we usually didn't practice until about 7 at night after the high school team at Maury High School. And so that was, it forced late nights. So a lot of times I was getting up at 7 in the morning. I wasn't getting back until 11 p.m. But it did give me a chance to run a program at 30 years old. It gave me a chance to, uh, be able to, learn how to manage my guys, how to, uh, run a study hall, get guys where they need to be, manage their academics, oversee travel, oversee budget control. I got an opportunity to do all of that stuff at 30 years old. And, that was a blessing for me. We were 19 and 11 that year. I got a chance to coach an All-American and Greg Hextall. And then from there, was fortunate enough to get hired at Hampton University. And again, me being from Newport News, from the 757 area, it was a blessing to be able to do what I love to do at home in my area. While at Hampton, I recruited, some great players. Like I said, Greg Hextall, Jermaine Merrow, Malik Trent, who's now playing pro ball at Lithuania, Ben Stanley, were some of the guys that I brought into Hampton University. And my goal there was to, give the guys opportunities in the area that weren't getting opportunities before, to give them an avenue to be able to play basketball close to home. And, from the work that we did, we won a MEAC championship in 17, 18. And from the work that we did there, I was called by Coach Griff Aldridge at Longwood. And, at the time, didn't know much about Coach Aldridge, but, I had a friend that did know him well and, was probably, first priority for the job, but he couldn't take the job at the time. So he gave me a call and I got the job. At Longwood, I was able to learn some different things. Coach Aldridge was CEO of a Fortune 500 company, a very different type of guy. And, we were very organized, and I got to learn the business side of college basketball with Coach Aldridge. Everywhere I've been, they've relied on me, to bring in players. But, with Coach Aldridge, I learned to, cut film up. I learned to give detailed scout reports. I learned, just various different things about running a college basketball program because he, held us accountable every single day, for doing those things. And, after we won the most games in history at Longwood, we went to postseason at Longwood. I was called by Coach Moton. And, the relationship with Coach Moton go back to him beating us in the championship in 17, 18. And, I seen him on the road a few years ago, and I kind of congratulated him for beating up on us. And, it was like just a relationship that was built over time. And so he lost 2 assistants last spring, and he gave me a call. And so, with Coach Moton, I'm learning, a whole lot. A lot of you guys already know him. He was a player at North Carolina Central. I was a player at Catawba. So, it's not a lot of good players that are in coaching. So whenever you get a chance to gift with a guy who played the game and can teach you a lot about the business side and give you, free reign to, use your strengths to help his staff, it's always a blessing. So, That brings me to the day. And I just want to open it up for any questions for you guys about my journey before I get into, what I'm going to talk about for today.
Brian, if you had one thing you would say that was able to keep you in the business, keep you getting jobs, what would you attribute that to?
I would definitely say my character, man. I try to be respectful to everybody. I don't treat, the elementary school youth rec coach no different than I treat the Division I coach. I've been on every level of it. I told you I started as a JV coach. So, when I go to high schools, I try to build relationships with everybody at the school, the JV coach, the varsity coach, the assistant coaches. You never know who that person may know. So I think, building relationships is very important. Everywhere you go, you should try to meet somebody. You never know what door that person may be able to open for you. And even if it ain't about helping somebody, maybe you could just share knowledge with that person.
Right. Appreciate you.
Is there any other questions about my journey as, bringing us forward to today?
Going from level to level, what would you say kind of the biggest differences are between, levels and all that kind of stuff on the coaching side and recruiting and all that kind of stuff that you've seen?
I think the biggest difference is, resources. It's everywhere you go, everywhere I've been, the resources have been a little different. Obviously, taking it all the way back to Catawba, Jamie, I mean, we did a lot in cars. Almost everywhere we went, we were up and back. I can remember me and Coach Perrin getting in the car from 9 in the morning, not getting back to 1 or 2 at night. And we probably then went from Salisbury to Greensboro and Greensboro to Fayetteville and Fayetteville to Charlotte. And, we just had to be creative about the way that we did it with less money. At Central, if I need a flight, I can get a flight somewhere, or, I'm in a rental car, I'm there and back. It's just a lot easier to do things with more resources. At Bryan and Stratton, you got to think I was driving a bus to and from a game, had to use my own car to go recruit, but to me, the work ethic is the same no matter what. What you put out is what you're going to get back, and so no matter the resources, if your work ethic ain't there, you're not going to produce a result. So that kind of takes me into the recruiting phase of what I'm going to talk about. The recruiting phase I'm going to break down into two different phases. The first thing is the process of recruiting. So the process of recruiting for me starts around 8th and 9th grade. I try to identify guys around 8th, 9th grade, or start identifying guys and putting them on my mass recruiting list. In about 10th grade, I started working to get guys on campus, whether it be football games, basketball games, try to get them engaged in the college process as much as possible. By the time guys, get to 11th grade, I've probably already built a relationship with their families, with their AAU coaches, high school coaches, anybody who is surrounding that kid. I usually ask the question of who is going to help you make your college decision. And I can guarantee you everybody within that kid's circle, I'm going to reach out to. I'm going to know, I'm going to have an extended relationship with. They're going to know me. I'm going to know them, and all of the above. And then I think, getting them on campus is important because it also engages them into what we got, whether it be practices. Like I said, football games is a good time for us to get them on. And then I bring them to, I try to get our older guys, like our juniors that we're recruiting 21s. I made sure that I got all of those guys on campus last year so that they know exactly what they're looking at. And then all we have to do is, get official visits going into their senior year or for the fall of their senior year in order to try to secure them. So that's kind of a little bit of the process. I think the other part is just how I recruit. I think I'm a try to use a few words to help you guys out for the college coaches up here, and then for the high school coaches, it's just, a little bit of knowledge of how you would want your kid recruited. So the first thing is consistency. I try to be consistent with the kids that, I'm recruiting, whether it be phone calls, text messages. If I'm, hot on a guy, he's probably hearing from me every day. I would say, for their families, they probably hearing from me 2 or 3 times a week. And then the coaches probably once a week, but I'm definitely trying to relate to a kid that want I want to talk to him every day. I want to see how he live. I want to see what his work habits like. We talking about what he watching on TV, what games he play. I'm building with the kids so that he understands me and I understand him. Um, I think building genuine relationships is also important in the recruiting process. Like I said before, just allowing families and people to know who you are as a person, and knowing who they're going to deal with and who they're going to send their kid with for 4 years is important. And it's not just with the families. The high school coaches, a lot of times, extended part of most of these families. So you need to get to know the high school coach. You need to make sure you know the AAU coaches, because a lot of times they're the guys that's, building with these kids and dealing with them on a regular basis. So it's important to know who they are, get them on your side, invite them on campus, with the kid or separate from the kid. But, I try to make sure my AAU coaches that I'm in touch with, they feel just as comfortable as the high school coaches in this process. I think another thing and another reason I've been able to land, some good kids everywhere I've been, I'm a relentless recruiter. I'm gonna be at gyms at 8 o'clock. I'm gonna leave at 10. I'm not gonna miss games. I'm not gonna be playing around while I'm out recruiting. If I got a free hour, that's when I watch young kids, 8th and 9th grade kids, because that gives me time within a day to be able to write down some kids that I may be recruiting 2 or 3 years down the line. I always see guys out, when there's a time and a place for everything. So I try to network with guys and communicate with guys, but I'm never taking my job, for granted. I'm always working, I'm always on the phone, spending time calling people. Like I said, one day it could be kids, the next day it could be families, the next day it could be coaches. But I think there's work to be done if you're a relentless recruiter every day. And then the next thing is, I think I'm just, I try to keep it real with guys. And I don't really oversell guys. If I feel like, I like you, I'm going to tell you I like you. If I don't like you, then, I'm going to be honest with it. I ain't going to, and I probably won't push a guy to my head coach unless, I've seen him 3 times. That's just a rule I've always had. If I haven't seen the guy 3 times, I don't really know him well enough to push him to my head coach. So I try to make sure I thoroughly evaluate. I don't mind watching film on the computer, but I'd rather watch you in person before I push anything to my head coach. So that's kind of, my sums up my little spiel on recruiting. I would definitely, love to take questions for anybody, and don't be afraid to ask any question. It ain't no dumb question in this. We all learning and sharing knowledge with each other.
Brian, how have you had to change your recruiting strategy at Central? I know you guys do a lot of junior college recruiting. Does that change the way when you start evaluating it all?
Yeah, I think it did. I think every stop that I've had in coaching has opened up different networks. So I take you back to Catawba. I had a lot of a big log of high school coaches at Catawba because we always had a huge team camp. Mm-hmm. And so if we putting 50 to 70 teams in team camp every year, I'm getting to know 100 coaches, 150 new coaches every summer. So I always got to know each and every coach. I got a huge log of high school coaches from 7-8 years ago when I started this. And then while at Bryan and Stratton, I also volunteered as an AAU coach. So that bumped me into thousands of AAU coaches all over the country. Mm-hmm. And so, Brian Stratton introduced me to JUCO coaches, and that's what started my JUCO ranks. Then every year I went to the Final Four, I would go to a JUCO social. And then, I bumped into different guys everywhere I went to kind of cast a wide net. And so that helps me when it's time to recruit, because I know guys various different places. So I may have 2 guys in every city that I can call and say, well, do you know such and such?
Mm-hmm.
And, are you able to help me with this kid or that kid? And, they're able to help me. So everywhere I've been has helped me network for this opportunity. So in order to recruit here, it's not hard. I just had to tap into different resources.
Okay. Appreciate you.
Right.
Brian, on the recruiting front, I guess, what are 1 or 2 things that you look at with a kid? Obviously, you're in the gym all day long and all that stuff that immediately crosses them off the list. That's like, you know what, LeVelle ain't gonna mess with this, or I don't even like this kid as a person, so I'm done with it, no matter what he's doing.
I think negative body language, is a turnoff. I think any kid that can't. I watch the communication between the kid and the coach. That's something that I always watch. I want to watch, a kid in a tough environment, when that coach get on him, how does he respond? Because I can guarantee you, if you can't take it from the coach you with now, you won't be able to take it from Coach Moton. You know what I'm saying? So I know we can't bring any soft kids into our program. And if you're making faces back at a coach, or every time he tell you something, you balling up, or you might wave him off behind your back, that kind of stuff, I'm just automatically like, I don't know about him. And I don't care about how many points they score that night, or how many they average. If you're gonna have a negative attitude with your high school coaches, you're probably gonna have one when you get here too. Any other questions about the recruiting side?
Yeah. So, Graves, let me ask you this. So, through the years, with us, competing against each other down here, in the pro-am, and me being able to have that 1 year to play alongside you, in the semi-pro, a lot of things that I learned from you,
Right.
I mean, running the point. Like, so when you go recruit, are you looking for kids that have that competitive edge, that you had that relentless attitude, or is it more so what Coach Moton is looking for?
Nah, I mean, honestly, man, I don't push a kid that I don't think has that competitive edge. I think it's funny you say that, because I'll just tell you what I look at in the order. First, I'm looking at a kid's stature. When I say stature, it's not necessarily a height. It's it's a body frame that I'm looking for to let me know whether you putting in work on and off the court. Then I'm gonna look at your competitive edge. That's the second thing. In a heated environment, what are you gonna bring? Are you gonna back down? When Maury play Lake Taylor, what kind of player are you gonna get? When Maury play Booker T, what kind of player is this kid gonna be? Then I get into, like I said, the body language, and how does he respond to coaching? Because like I said, if he don't respond well to you, that probably ain't gonna change when you get to Coach Moton. A coachable kid is always a coachable kid. So that's the third thing I look at. And then the last thing, obviously, you got to look at the family dynamic. And when I say that, I'm more so talking about is it solid people around him? Is he getting the right information? Is he consistent at the schools he at? Is he bouncing around every year in high school? Like, all of that stuff plays a factor with us on this level, because usually if a kid bouncing around in high school, he gonna bounce around in college too.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
BG, I got one. If a kid is super talented and he has some like negative traits about him, do you guys take chances on guys like that are super talented?
I mean, yeah, obviously, like, you gotta you gotta always do what's best for your program. I think you gotta do your research as an assistant coach and figure out if this kid can help your program, and most importantly, can he play for your head coach? You know your head coach, you work with him every day, you know what he can and can't deal with. So a talented kid, is one thing, but a talented kid without character is another. So then you got to know if those character issues gonna outweigh the production that this kid may bring. And if the character issues outweigh, then usually we don't take them. But if we feel like it's something that we can reach this kid, and we got the right program and support and discipline in place to take them, then we may look at it. But the character has to kind of match the talent.
Graves, you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up, Coach?
Chilling. What's some things you're doing? I know you said you like to see kids in person, but right now with the coronavirus, of course, we all can't be out. What are some things you're doing to kind of keep yourself sharp to be ready for when this thing passes in your recruitment?
Honestly, coaches, I've been watching a lot of film on kids, probably more so than normal, to be honest with you, because, like you said, the last 2 weekends we would have been out, recruiting. So I try to get film through email and check these guys out, watch full games, watch their highlights. I'm getting a lot of stuff through email that I'm checking and just, trying to watch and thoroughly evaluate the guys that I want for 21. Especially making sure I'm watching full games on them and all that highlight stuff, critiquing them, telling them what they need to work on and stuff like that. So a lot more, through email than usual.
Hey, Coach, I got a question. You explained to the group, it's kind of the process of the needs versus the wants in the recruiting process. I know we all, especially with high school and me at the JUCO, we have talented kids we're trying to move through the process. Just kind of establish, how you look at what you establish as a need versus a want for your program, and how is coaches trying to funnel kids through, to schools until 4 years from my standpoint from the JUCO, and even when I was in the high school game and the AAU, explain when you're talking with a coach about the process of, what your needs are versus what your wants are, and how to get that across. As far as from the standpoint of your recruit, that you're trying to help get to that next level. Just based on those type of things, what kind of things when you're looking at your roster, you assess your roster, whether it be size. I know you talk a lot about character. Just when we're approaching you guys to talk about those kind of things, kind of what information do you want immediately to help decipher if this kid is even a kid you need to spend any time trying to recruit.
Right. I think the first thing that we should always establish is, or you as a JUCO coach, what does this program need? I think that, for us, we've already established in a recruiting meeting what we probably already need. Like I know for us, for an example, I know in 21 we're gonna need 2 wings, just based off the seniors that we got on our roster for this year. Then the following, then also we'll need a 4-man. So if I'm coming at you as a recruiter, I would say, right now, man, I probably won't need a point guard. I'll probably need 2 wings and a 4-man. You got anything? And then, obviously you'll tell me, yeah. And I'll tell you, I'm going to come check out this kid. And, if it's me and you talking, I'm going to probably come to a game at the beginning of the year. I'm going to come to the most important game. And then I'm going to come to a game of great magnitude, like a playoff game, because I want to see that kid in 3 different type of environments, and where, how does he change? Is he consistent? Is he always productive? Did his attitude change based off the competition? Those are some of the things that I'm looking for in seeing this kid. But, as far as you concerned, to help you out, just find the basic. Everybody knows initially what positions they're going to need. It with this transfer thing, everything changes again in the spring. So maybe asking the question again around April would be beneficial to you, because people may need more than they need in October and April. But just knowing the specific wants and needs of each program, and then making sure, you don't oversell kids. Like, we don't want you to send us an email saying the kid's 6'8", and then we get there, he's 6'6". Just always try to be real and selling the kid, and make sure you go into practices. I know, for you specifically, you come to our games and have been to, plenty of our games, so you see what can kind of fit our program. But if you selling your kid to somebody else's program, then kind of make sure that you know what they do and if this kid would fit what they do. Did that answer your question pretty much?
Brian, what's going on, man? King.
What's up, King?
Question for you, and maybe you can share your knowledge on this. So you've seen a kid 3 times, and now it's time for your boss to see him. And that kid, you really believe in that kid. You want that kid to have success in front of your boss. Your boss sees him and he plays bad. Can you explain to some of these coaches on here, how do you present to your boss, or how do you say to your boss, Coach, I'm telling you, this kid can play. Can you talk to the guys about that?
I'm gonna be honest, that's tough, King, because you know, we always are going to our coach trying to sell kids, and you know, the final eye is gonna always be theirs. So, you know, when that kid, when that coach come see that kid and that kid don't play well, the hope is that, you know, that kid does something that your head coach want to see him once again. So what I will probably do to answer your question is I will probably say, Coach, you know, this was a bad night. You know, I apologize. You know, the kid didn't play well. Just come back and see him one more time for me. You know, and if it's the same result and you don't like him, you know, then we got to move forward, because the kid does need to produce in front of you. But could you at least come see him one more time for me? Because I seen the kid 3 times and he played well all 3 times. That's probably how I would approach it. As well as I will make sure my head coach has film in his email so that he can at least see some of the things that I've seen initially.
BG.
Yes, sir. What's up, Nigel?
What's going on, man? I get a chance to work with you every day, so I see the level of your work ethic. You know, the way you communicate with players and coaches is just off the charts. Can you explain how you organize your communication, you know, with players, younger kids, you know, the high school coaches? You know, if you communicating with people every day, a week, is there any way you kind of organize that communication?
Right. Well, I'll just kind of tell you what I'm doing right now, and you know, you kind of familiar with it because we're working together. But you know, right now I would say Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays I'm designated to players. So you know the kids that we on. I call the players Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tuesday and Thursday I'm calling their coaches and parents. So you know, both coaches and parents hearing from me twice a week. The kid is hearing from me 3 times a week. And then, you know, we get into the summer phase and time to try to close in on some of these kids. I'll probably pick it up to, you know, calling the kid 5 days a week and, you know, calling the family, you know, 2 or 3 times a week. So that's, you know, right now it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday kids, Tuesday, Thursday coaches and families. And, you know, if I know a kid is better over text than the call, I usually would text them, you know, because, you know, I understand that it's a different day and age. These kids aren't as sociable and comfortable talking on the phone. So if it's more of a texter than a talker, a text is the same as a call to me because it's communication.
My man. Appreciate you, man.
Go ahead, Cody. What's up, man?
So you've talked a lot about, you know, how you organize it. What do you think is the best way to organize an entire staff recruiting? And then what are some ways you utilize other assistants? How you engage the head coach in the recruiting process? Can you talk about stuff like that?
Well, here I'm actually the director of recruiting, and you know we do a contact sheet. So let's say we're down to, you know, 5 guys that we're talking to. I'll give the 5 names to the operations people we have, Garrett and Michelle McLeod, and they will organize a contact sheet. And the contact sheet pretty much has each coach on the left side of it and each kid that they're contacting under the day of the week. So, you know, if it's, you know, let's say I'm recruiting Nigel, Cody Anderson, and Kenneth Harris, and, you know, Coach Moton to call Nigel, Kenneth, and Coach Harris on a Monday, then I'll call them on a Tuesday. Then Coach Thomas will call them on Wednesday. Coach Sharp will call them on Thursday. You know, and that's how it's organized pretty much every single day throughout that week. And then we may get together on Sunday and want to change it to where, you know, this kid has went kind of cold. We want to knock him down to maybe only 1 call a week. You know, then we'll adjust it from there. But we have a contact sheet that we use when we locking in on some kids. And and that's passed over to Coach Moton, so he knows exactly who he's calling. We actually put notes into that contact sheet, so if somebody had a communication, something funny in their communication with the kid, then they can put it in the notes so that Coach Moton can kind of piggyback off that. So that's the way we kind of coordinated here as a staff. And we've done various things, different places, but that's what I'm doing now, to kind of be organized. I think I'm gonna segment that into this last part, and that's kind of finding your niche on the staff. It's a few points I want to make with finding your niche within the staff. I think the first and most important thing is for each and every coach in this chat and around the country just to understand who they are as a person and their true strengths and weaknesses. I think that was important for me, as a coach. When I got back into coaching, I'm not gonna lie, it was a tough transition because I was coming from being a very good player, and I worked real hard at my game, and I had to come back to some 8th and 9th grade kids who really didn't understand it. And so for me, at times it was hard, because I still could play. I still played all the time, and I just didn't think that they had the mentality. So it was tough for me at first to understand kids, and I had to understand that these are learners. That I have to break it down for them. I have to break it down to the simplest form, and like I said, each place that I've been has kind of helped me and groomed me to the coach that I am today. But I think it's important for anybody on the staff to understand who they are, understand their true strengths and weaknesses. I think the main thing is, honing in on your strengths. So I know for me, any staff that I go to, I'm going to bring, a strong recruiting base, the ability to get players from, 3 or 4 different states. And, I got international contacts, junior college contacts. So I bring a lot of contacts and a lot of ability to, bring players from different areas. But I'm also, when I was at Longwood, I learned a lot about the film side. So Cody Anderson, who's actually on this chat, and Mo Wims, those guys were very good with film study and cutting film, and being able to cut practices up and game film. So I would sit with them guys and learn from them, and now I picked up on some things from them that's helped me become better with the film study. So not only now am I a good recruiter, but now I do post-game edits. I'm able to cut up film and get movies together for our guys so that they can learn the game. I've always been a gym guy. So I've always been, a good trainer, a guy that could develop talent, that could take, pretty much anything and work with it, and that's always been my thing. I started a basketball school when I was back at Catawba for the local kids in the community. And at one time I was probably training, 15 kids outside of coaching college basketball, and they were just young kids, 7, 8, 9-year-olds. And that's just something that I love to do. So I've always been a gym guy. And then, throughout my years, I've learned the administrative side, and I'm still learning. And that's something that, I'm growing and continuing to grow in. But I advise everybody to hone in on their strengths and then improve their weaknesses. Usually you can use somebody around you that's probably strong in a different area to be able to learn from them, to take some of their strengths and make them your strengths, and anything that they're weak at, you try to help them with. I think that's one of the things that make a great staff. You got to remove your ego. You can't be a guy that think that it's all about you. You're an assistant coach. It's all about the kids. If the head coach, you disagree with the head coach, sometimes you just got to ride with them just to make sure that the staff synergy is the way that it's supposed to be, because that's important. And anybody that you're coaching is going to take the temperament of the coaching staff. So if the coaching staff is unorganized, disorganized, not on the same page, it's going to rub off on the kids. Also, do things outside of your everyday realm. I would say, try to help somebody on the staff if somebody need help with an assignment. Be proactive with the players. Always stay in the gym with guys as much as you can within the hour requirement. Do more than what's required of your everyday job. go outside and make sure that, the staff has everything that they need to help the head coach, to take problems off of his desk, to make it easier for him. And then I think the last thing and the most important thing is that, you always have to bring positive energy. I think a consistent attitude, a consistent positive attitude, a player first attitude is very important to any staff. And, long as we remember that the players are first and this is their dreams and we're helping them achieve their dreams, I think, we all can accomplish great things. So, I open it up to any questions that anybody may have. Like I said, I want everybody to be an open book with me. I'm going to try to be an open book with you. And, hopefully, we've helped each other today.
Hey, BG.
What's up, Will?
Hey, I know y'all usually recruit on a need basis, but with today's transferring climate, like how much of that is on a need basis and then on a maybe if necessary basis? How do you differentiate, staying locked in with guys you may need versus guys that you definitely need?
That's a great question. I think with this transfer wave, you got to kind of recruit everything. I say we're going to need, 2 wings and a forward next year. It could end up being a point guard and a center as well. So I got to kind of take note to everything, just in case kids up and leave. But, I kind of know my primary needs, and then I know primary needs and secondary needs. So if it's a kid that, is pretty much a secondary need, I'm not going to recruit them as much. But I do have a note of guys in all positions just in case we lose somebody. So that's definitely a good question because it changes. Everything changes with this transfer stuff.
Hey, Coach Graves, how you doing? I'm Chris Johnson. I'm a program director of Via Havoc, and also an assistant coach at Brown High School.
What's up, Chris? How you doing?
Good to you, man. One quick question. Of course, from a AU program and a high school standpoint, the biggest thing we want to try to do is try to find players to fit different needs, to fit different levels of basketball, and then try to help them fulfill their journey.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your time frame? And you've been through different ranks of recruiting time frames for different levels of players. If it's certain time frames that are more specified to Division I guys, more time frame from a recruiting standpoint that's more designated to Division II or your JUCO guys.
Well, I would say this: there are exceptions to everything. Usually you can tell a Division I guy, or probably a high major guy. I would say 10th, 11th grade, you probably can tell who gonna really separate themselves as a high major guy. Some you see earlier, some you get late bloomers and stuff like that. I would say, for Division II, everything works kind of late anyway. So it's kind of hard to say, a guy is gonna blossom into a D2 guy or whatever. I'll speak specifically for me. I was a late bloomer as a player. So as a, rising junior, rising senior, I was small, under 6 feet, and as a college freshman, I grew, to about 6'2". So I didn't stop growing until I was in college, and so with me and guys, I would say a lot of times they ended up falling to Division II because, they just didn't have the stature or the size of the guys that went Division I, right out of high school. But it's kind of hard to project, man. I would say, you could see those high major guys a lot of times for us. We're getting guys that, either have one hole in their game or, kind of was overlooked by the high majors, or, we get guys that we feel are ready-made high school guys. So physically and mentally, they won't have a setback because of the guys that they're playing against every day are transfers and Division I guys. So I hope that helps you, in answering your question. But it's just kind of hard to gauge where a guy's going to go unless, they're physically special and mentally special at an early age. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. I think that the part of my question was more so like time frame wise. Like, is it more so of like from March to March to May is more of a better time frame for your potential Division I guys to be recruited, or is a different time frame?
Well, you know,
for each level, for each division level.
Well, no, not really. I mean, we all out all the time, man. Like, you know, we got time frames where we could be out spring AAU season. We out recruiting guys. Summer, we out recruiting guys. Fall, we back out. You know, during the season, we can come to high school games. So it's really not a time frame. I would say for us in this program right now, we are done with 2020. So we already recruiting 21s. You know, we probably got a handful of 22s that we reach out to. And then, you know, 23s, we'll try to get them on campus on summer on campus for camps and stuff this summer. But you know, for the younger guys, that's pretty much what we're doing. We get them on campus, you know, if we have any of that camp stuff this summer. And then for the older guys, we're kind of recruiting 21s already. So, you know, it ain't no specific time frame. Live periods, we out. You know, fall periods, we out. You know, if a guy could play, we definitely gonna see him. And the same for Division 2s and 3s. You know, they're going to be out.
Gotcha. Hey, Coach.
No problem.
Hey, Coach, Gary Williams here. In this age of positionless basketball, what kind of skill sets are you looking for in a kid that can maybe play a 1, 2, and a 3, or a 3 and a 4? And is a kid valuable to you if they're okay at being maybe okay 2 and okay 1, or will you pass on that kid because he's not maybe a starter at the 1 or the 2?
Well, it depends on what we're looking for. I think I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna kind of describe a little bit of both. I know for this particular system on the wing, you know, Coach Moton runs a lot of things for guys to come off and catch and shoot. So, you know, being able to catch and shoot for our system here is, you know, very important. So if I'm going out and looking for a guy and he can't catch and shoot, it's probably going to be a tough sell to Coach Moton, because a lot of our guys, you know, our wings, you know, come off, you know, screens where they have to be able to catch and shoot the basketball. Then the next thing I'll be looking for is their ability to use a ball screen. You know, late shot clock, everything we do ends in a ball screen, so that wings that we recruit have to be able to play off a ball screen. And then I think the last thing is, can they defend their position? You know, the wing is usually the best guy on the opposite team, if not a 4-man. And so, you know, any wing that we get have to be able to defend their position. At the point guard position, it's a little different. To run Coach Moton's system, you have to be a smart kid. You know, so any kid that, you know, struggles with plays or come from a school that don't really run a lot of sets and is more chaotic, it's going to be a tough sell for Coach, because he run a lot of sets and the half court was very organized. So he has to be able to understand and run half court concepts. So as a point guard, you know, you got to be smart, you got to be tough, you got to be a leader, got to be able to communicate, and, you know, be able to handle Coach Moton as a coach, which, you know, like I said, he holds everybody accountable. So you can't be a thin-skinned kind of guy.
For the younger guys out here in the recruiting and stuff, in your niche and finding your way, how important would you say recruiting is as a young coach to be able to go out and get kids when it comes to moving up in the ranks and also your niche within the industry?
I think it's very important. You know, I think as a young coach, you know, you're probably going to be the youngest guy on most staffs. I think even now I'm one of the younger guys. But, you know, I've kind of established myself in the reputation of being able to get guys. And I think that that's important for any young coach to build your relationships, man. Like I said, you know, never meet a stranger. We all in this coaching business together. You know, when you go out, try to meet people, you know, try to meet people in different areas. You know, I think it's important to be able to call a guy in a different area and show your head coach that you can call somebody from a different area to be able to help this program. I think, you know, it ain't the only thing to actually moving up is being able to recruit. You have to be well-rounded as a coach, but most young coaches, you know, have to be able to deliver a player. And, you know, I've tried to, you know, make myself well-rounded, but I don't forget my strengths. And I know, you know, I'm pretty good at what I do. I've delivered some good players in my time, and I want to hone in on that, as well as, you know, make myself strong in other areas as well as I go down this journey. Any other questions?
Got time for one or two more, guys, if y'all want to go ahead and jump up and ask.
Hey, Coach. Darius Sloan. I coach at West Virginia Wesleyan. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Doing well. How do you sell your program to recruits that you're really trying to go after? What are your selling points?
I couldn't hear some of what you said. You said our selling points as a program?
Yeah, to recruits and families and things like that.
We actually have a presentation, man, where a great presentation where, Coach Moton actually, gets up and gives, kind of a selling point of his history. If it's a transfer, we usually, talk about the transfers that's been at this program and what they, did at their last program in comparison to this program. So we use a PowerPoint slide or a series of PowerPoint slides in our film room. Once we get a guy on campus, we also have a host of graphics that we send out to recruits with informational stuff about our program, our standards, what we're kind of looking for. And so we use a balance of, informational graphics and presentations to be able to sell our program. As well as, social media is big today. So, we're active on Twitter and Instagram with selling our program.
Thank you. Awesome.
No problem.
Anyone else?
Hey, Coach, I have a question for you from Ford from Woodside.
What's up, Coach Ford?
All right, man. My question is more like from a management standpoint. Of course, I'm overseeing the entire athletic program, and we've really been on our kids about their social media presence. How does that play a role in terms of when you're recruiting kids?
It's huge, man. It's huge. If I had any advice to your kids, I would just tell them, to carry themselves as if they want to be recruited at all times. Carry themselves as if they're already college or pro basketball players, because that's where they all want to go. So, for me, that's a way that I recruit. I watch what guys do, how they live, all of that kind of stuff, because I want to know the total player that I'm getting. So I'm definitely following them on Instagram. I'm following them on Twitter. I'm watching their Facebook pages. I'm actually going to text them or call them if I see something that I don't like or I question, and if it's somebody that I'm recruiting, because, I think if it's not even for my school, it's going to hurt them, going forward, anything that they may post, anything that they may retweet, because it's an indication of who you are in a sense, so anything you post, anything you put on social media kind of, reveals who you are as a person. And so we definitely take highly to that as college coaches. So any high school coaches, any JUCO coaches on here, make sure these guys know they're definitely being watched and evaluated and judged at all time for the things that they put on their social media.
Hey, BG, I got one more question.
Sure.
Like, obviously, Coach Moton, he one of the most respected coaches in the country, has a, hell of a basketball resume, and, one of the best, X and O minds in the game. How hard is it for you sometimes to go with him with like different ideas of how you think things could go better from a recruiting standpoint, from a practice standpoint, or just anything within the program? How hard is that, going to him and sitting down and talking to him with a guy that has had that much success?
Right. It can be difficult, at times, but I think a part of Coach Moore's success is that he don't try to do it by himself. He hires guys and put guys in position to be who they are as coaches as well. So I think, what he has done is designed a program that kind of runs itself, and it puts guys in places to be successful. And he is an open book. So like I said, for me, I came in the door as director of recruiting, and right away he kind of frowned upon me holding back information. Like, I ain't bring you here to, hold nothing back. I need your input. I need you to be active in practice. I need you to talk. I need you to show energy at all times. You on top of my point guards. Anything you see with them, you capable of doing. So he kind of allows us to be coaches, man. And you know, as far as his program though, like in his system, you know, it's kind of selling itself and it's running itself. So it's nothing really that we need to really change. I mean, if it's something that we need to tweak throughout the year, we will. You know, if it's something that we need to implement or work on more, we will. But as far as reinventing anything or changing anything, it's kind of running itself in a great form and fashion right now. So we don't really have no communication about changing much.
All right, guys, time for one more question. Anybody want to jump up? Good deal. Brian, thank you so much for coming on and sharing today. Lots of great information. I want to thank everybody who's been to great participation and all that kind of stuff too. We really like to get everybody involved, ask questions, and get really going the back and forth stuff. That's where the real learning takes place. So Brian, thanks for coming on. Very excited about the future at NC Central. Y'all did have a hell of a class come in too. So it's going to be fun moving forward too.
Thanks for having me, Jamie. Thanks for having me. And I'm going to put my information, my email, I'll put it in the beginning, but I'm going to make sure everybody got it. I say my number first is 757-528-5536. And my email is bgraves11@nccu.edu. Again, I'll put it in the chat for everybody to have too, but I just wanted to make sure I got that across. And again, Jamie, thanks for having me. You know, I appreciate being able to share my knowledge with these guys. And I hope I was able to answer you guys' questions. If not, then anybody up here can call me, contact me, and you know, I'll be able to answer your questions further.
Absolutely. Brian, again, that was awesome. Good stuff, man. For everybody listening, we're going to post this weekend, if not Sunday, Monday, to the YouTube page and everything, and I'll blast everybody who signed up and everything. Brian, I'll also send you the list of everybody who registered for this and shoot that over to you so you can stay in contact with everybody as well. Guys, stay tuned for next week at 10:30 a.m. Wednesday, Thursday at 2:30 p.m. We'll have Charlotte assistant Cody Kimball. We'll have Clemson assistant Anthony Goins. I can't remember who's going to be on Tuesday, but be sure to keep checking that out. I'm at J5 on Twitter and Absolute Basketball Experience on YouTube and the podcast. So keep checking that out, guys. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.